Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about our Republic of Texas, and essentially what we're going with is we're looking at this as the tale of two elections or two presidents, and they're very different views for the Republic of Texas. Now, remember, the camera's been invented, and these are actual photographs of the two gentlemen here. This gentleman on the top, Sam Houston. This guy on the bottom. Hey, don't do that now. This gentleman on the bottom here is Mirabeau B. Lamar. So you can see that these are pictures when they're much older. They weren't, completely this age as president. They're a little bit younger. But presidents of a country would have spent the money to have a photograph made at that time. So let's look at this election by election. Now, in the election of 1836, so right here, we have Houston being elected president, and Lamar is elected vice president. Okay, this is right after the Revolution. The temporary government is decided to hold elections because it's safe enough now, and Sam Houston is elected president. So that means he gets to set the tone for what's going to go on, and he has a plan to deal with what is facing Texas, the country at that time. So we're going to look at these issues that face Texas. Okay, so when we look at the issues, there are four of them. Those four issues are, let me scroll over. Okay, those four issues are war debt, Mexico not recognizing independence, Texas annexation, and a Native American threat. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at war debt. All right, so now, Texas is way in debt to its citizens, to a whopping sum of $1 million. Yeah, that sounds like a little bit of money now, but back in the day, $1 million was like $1 billion. So the idea of them being in debt to their citizens, this is a huge amount of money. They've borrowed from private individuals and people who bought war bond kind of things. Basically, the government owes people money that they borrowed to fight the war, and it's going bad. If you don't get your money back, let's say you can't pay your debts off, and because you can't pay your debts off, you lose your land, your farm, all sorts of bad things can happen. Now, Mexico did not recognize Texas's independence, so there's going to be some issues associated with that. Okay, Mexico would invade Texas. Now, this is actually going to be mostly happening on Sam Houston's second watch, so we are going to come back to this. That means it's on his second term. So that's in 1842. So this won't happen until after Lamar has been president, but we're going to come back to this here in a little bit. All right, let's talk about Texas annexation. Annexation is Texas wanting to join the Union, join the United States as a state. Sam Houston's plan here, which we'll get into is here in a minute, is let's get into the United States to gain that safety. Okay, so Texas wanted to be in the U.S. Expand this all the way. Okay, because there's some issues that you need to understand. Texas wanted to be in the U.S., however, the power of Congress was balanced, half pro-slave and half anti-slave. So the idea here is that, and I'm going to collapse this so we don't have to look at that in our way. There we go. All right, so Texas wants to join the United States. The problem is that the power is balanced in Congress. You've got half slave, half free states, and if one gets more power than the other, they're both afraid they're going to lose. So Texas wants to be admitted. However, if we let Texas be admitted, then the North was against slavery. They're afraid that slavery is going to spread, and if slavery spreads and upsets the balance of power in Congress, or if the upset balance is upset, then slavery will spread. They really don't want that to happen. Okay, a tip in the balance would lead to war. They're really trying to avoid the Civil War. They know it's coming because slavery is such an issue. Okay, the leadership of the South was not strong enough in Congress to push through annexation. Okay, they're wanting Texas to come in and upset that balance, but at the time they're just not strong enough. Now, we need to dip into the power structure in Congress so you understand why this balance is there. So we have two houses or two chambers in Congress in the United States. We have the House and we have the Senate. So if we look at the House, come on computer, there we go. If we look at the House, power is based on population of your state. The more people you have, the more votes you get. So if you have a really populous state, you could get more representatives. So let's say I have a really big, huge state with people-wise, not numbers of acres, but numbers of people. So if I have lots of people in Texas at this time, I add 2 more representatives to the House of Representatives, the balance of power shifts to slave-favoring states in the House. That's a problem for us. Now in the Senate, we have each state gets 2 senators. That's it. That's all you get. But the problem is the same here. More slave states, more pro-slavery votes. That's going to upset that balance. We go back up here. A tip in the balance would lead to war. They know this. They're kind of holding off letting Texas in because they want to get another state. And you'll see down the road, we'll have a compromise where we let in another state at the same time we let Texas in, and that allows us to keep that balance. So we'll go ahead and collapse this one to get it out of our way. And then we'll look at Native American threat. Oh, I didn't add stuff to that one. Bottom line with Native American threat is that Native Americans are attacking Texas. There's more Anglos pushing westward into traditional Native American territory, and that's beginning to threaten the life or lifeways or culture of Native Americans, and so the Native Americans are starting to push back. You build your house, you plow the field, I come, wait, this is where our buffalo are, and we burn your house down, and you either run away or get killed. All right, that brings us up to what Houston's going to do about all these issues. Okay, so let's take a look at what Houston's going to do. Okay, there's threat of native attack. So what does Houston do about Native Americans? Well, he comes up with the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers, the idea here was to do this kind of on the cheap. Texas Rangers were responsible for providing their own goods and materials to do their job, to go fight Native Americans and police the frontier, all that sort of stuff. Now, that's their job. They're dealing with the threat of Native Americans by creating the Texas Rangers. Okay? So that's the whole deal. That should say, Texas Rangers. Okay, he created this group of men. They're going to go out, they're going to fight Native Americans, they're going to patrol the frontier and keep troubles down. All right, let's take a look at Mexico not recognizing Texas. So Houston's idea here is to remove military members who would start trouble. If you're going to start trouble, he's going to get you out of the way. He doesn't want to deal with fighting with Mexico. He's kind of wanting to just let that sleeping dog lie, not fight Mexico right now. He will deal with them if he has to fight, if he's cornered, but or attacked, but that's later on in his second term as president, after Lamar has had a turn. But the idea there is that his job right now, he's trying to save money to get Texas out of debt, and part of that is reducing the size of the military and to keep from needing the military by getting rid of guys who are what we call hawkish or want to attack. All right, so let's talk war debt. Now, Houston's plan on war debt is to cut spending, issue promissory notes, and to secure debts. So those promissory notes are basically an IOU from the government. That's what the notes are. Basically, they're guarantees to pay for your debt. Now, removing military members who are going to start trouble, and that's part of his cut spending. If I got a guy who's going to start trouble, then I can remove him and talk about how, oh, I'm cutting spending by getting rid of this unit of soldiers. That's kind of part of it. Okay, now let's talk annexation. Houston's plan. His idea there is, he's in favor of joining the United States. He knows it means protection and solving the debt issues and all these things. He knows if we join the United States, problem solved. However, when we go to get annexed, we go back to that whole problem we had with Texas's annexation and the balance of power, slave versus free states in the United States. And quickly, because Texas annexation stalls in Congress, Sam Houston withdraws the request because he doesn't want it to be embarrassing for the Texas Republic. Okay, so this is Houston's plan and what Houston does about all of this stuff. Okay, this threat of native attack, Texas Rangers. Mexico not recognizing Texas independence. He's removing military members who could cause a problem and cutting. That's part of his cutting spending. He's kind of hoping that Mexico's going to go away and leave Texas alone for a little bit. And they do, but not permanently. War debt, trying to basically put people at ease with these promissory notes. The notes guarantee, that's what it should say over here, the notes guarantee people are going to get paid back. Texas annexation, he wants it to join because it's going to solve Texas's problems. However, not if it's going to embarrass Texas. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put these away because now we need to talk about the election of 1836. Whoops, excuse me, 38. The election of 1838. This is the second term because in Texas law, you weren't allowed to serve 2 terms in a row. Okay, you had to elect somebody else. So natural choice, let's get Lamar in there. Now, the election, there's a bunch of issues that Texas faced at that time of the election of 1838. Now, if we look at those, they're very similar to what we faced in the 1836. So, the economy, still large war debt. Native peoples fighting with the Comanche. Okay, issues, you still got Mexico not recognizing Texas independence. Land policies have become a problem because people are losing their land due to debt. So now let's talk about what's Lamar going to do about all of this. Let me go ahead and expand that. Whoops, I don't want to do that. I want it to do that. All right, because this is going to get crazy for a minute. Okay, so the economy. Lamar's plan to deal with the economy is essentially to print new money, this thing called the redback. He's trying to do some economic control over the country. So people had, basically, there's an effect of controlling the value of your currency and inflation or deflation by controlling the amount you have in circulation or in use. So what he's trying to do is introduce the redback, this thing right here. Okay, those are 2 examples of it. Republic of Texas. So people ended up having no faith in this script and refused to use it. They just used American money, or they used gold coins, or something that they felt confident in that if Texas crumbled economically, they wouldn't lose their money. So The increasing debt just kept making the value of this redback go down, and pretty soon the redback was no longer in use because people lost faith in it pretty quickly. Now, Lamar has a bit of a different plan with regard to Native Americans. He wants to wage war on all of the groups. Okay? His idea is that they should go away. And he's very, he's a bit racist about the idea. So he removes the Cherokee from Texas, fights with the Comanche. The only group that he really doesn't mess with are the Caddo. And part of that is their popularity because they supported Texas during the Revolution, and that's just a few years ago. People who remember their willingness to fight are still around. All right, so let's take a look at Mexico and not recognizing independence. So Mexico and Texas independence, well, his plan is to attack. When in doubt, start a fight. Yeah, Lamar. So Santa Fe expedition is one of the things he launches. The Santa Fe expedition is incredibly, well, it's bad. So he wants to expand Texas borders. He wants to include New Mexico, perhaps the entire West, all the way to the ocean. So the expedition was a total failure. One of the reasons it's a total failure, members got lost, dehydrated, arrived in Santa Fe pretty much on death's doorstep. They're eventually forced to march to Mexico City, many dying on the way, where they're imprisoned and later released, put on a boat and sent back to Texas. Basically just an embarrassing death march for Texas, showing, wow, your guys are tough. They got lost and died, and yeah, really bad. Very embarrassing for Lamar. It's one of the things that Sam Houston uses in the next election to cause Lamar, to lose, essentially. Okay? All right, let's talk about land policy. So, due to the debt, people were losing their homes. So everybody's, if you owe a lot of money and you can't pay off your taxes and they're going to come take your home, if you owe a lot of money and you can't pay your debts, you might have your home put up as collateral, or you might even have your home seized and sold out from under you because you owe people money. Now, that's where the Homestead Act comes in. If you declare bankruptcy or go bankrupt, the Homestead Act protects your land and your home. So you get to protect your home and up to 50 acres from loss through debt. Okay, so now we're going to go back to talk about those original issues that where Mexico, if we can go back up here to the election of 1836, because those issues where Texas is not being basically recognized by Mexico, okay, this whole thing right here, in terms of March 5th, 1842, you have, a capture of San Antonio. Basically, the Mexican army comes north, they capture San Antonio, they take, all sorts of stuff. People in San Antonio run away to Austin to be safe. We have September 11th, 1842, same year. Same thing happens again. Again, they capture San Antonio and San Antonians. A lot of the San Antonio citizens, prominent citizens even, are captured. The idea, I guess, there is to hold them for ransom. Remember, this is all in Houston's second term. So after the election of 1838, okay, when Houston wins again, or actually, it wouldn't be 38, it's the third election. So when Houston wins again in 1842, he's dealing with this stuff. Okay, his actions are to attack. He sends men down there, but their job is just to chase them to the border. They end up chasing them all the way into Mexico. Some men decide to disobey orders, and that gets us to a black bean incident, which we'll talk about in class. So we'll go over that in class, but I want you to remember these things. Now remember, this video is just a review of stuff you should already know about from the notes. So this was just a kind of auditory, hey, let's go over this stuff and pay attention to it, not a total, this is all you should do is look at this video. It's one of the reasons I'm okay putting it out so late in the week. This is really just for you to review, to get a better understanding, which you should already have notes on. All right, good luck on the test. Be ready.